I'm Mieke Hartland, and I'm fortunate this month to be making your craft pack. Hopefully you're really excited by what you've just received. You are all going to be making something like this. Now the idea behind it is it's a hope heart. It's something that you can bless someone else by giving them a present of hope during this time where things are uncertain, things are a bit tricky, things are a bit hard, and it's a chance where you can make something beautiful and then give it to someone. So you will start off by having 2 pieces of fabric, and what we're going to do is put those pieces of fabric together by using different sorts of stitches. So you've got yourself a needle and a thread, nice and long. Now some of you have got the same colour thread as your fabric, and some of you have got contrasting thread, but hopefully with your needle and thread you can put it to good use afterwards and you can make some other things. I often, when I run out of fabric, I often use tea towels, which is quite a good way of using fabric, or at supermarkets, places like Aldi and Lidl, they have cheap packs of fabric or tea towels that you can make all sorts of things, aprons or all sorts of things. Okay, so I'm going to start at the side. Okay, I've got a knot in my thread and I'm going to start on the inside. The reason being is so you can't see the knot. So when you pull it through, the knot's going to be on the inside. Okay, so we go through the fabric. Now as you can see there's a loop, so I'm going to go back through the loop and then go from the bottom to the top and back through the loop, from the bottom to the top and back through the loop. Now this is called a blanket stitch. In the old days, before people had sewing machines or were able to afford sewing machines, they would do this decorative stitch right around the outside of blankets, and hence why it's called a blanket stitch, because it stops the fabric fraying and it's quite a firm way of doing it. So I start from the bottom and I go up and then I go back through my hole, bottom to the top and back through my hole, bottom to the top, back through my hole. And as you can see, we've got a nice pattern going all the way around. Bottom. Now I was helping out before COVID. I was helping out at my local high school. They were doing a project to do with the film Holes, and the kids had to make lizards, and it was really interesting because I love sewing and I've always sewn, but even basic things, some of the children were struggling to thread a needle, some of the children were struggling just to do basic stitches, and it reminded me of just how important it is to learn how to stitch and to sew, because there's so many things, taking things up, fixing things, becomes really useful. Okay, so I'm going to keep sewing round and round and round, and when we get to the middle we're going to stop. Okay, so you keep stitching until you come to the middle, then you're going to open it up and you're going to take your tag. This one you're going to hang. It should have a knot on the bottom. You're going to put your knot on the inside. Okay, and then you're going to try and secure. You're going to try and tie the knot, stitch the knot so it doesn't move. That's right, get it right the way through that knot so it doesn't fall off. You don't want it to be hanging and it falls down. There you go. So as I'm sitting here, I've got my fireplace going. Fire's roaring. It's a very cold night. There you go. Okay. So I've secured the knot. And hopefully, yeah, that's not going anywhere. Okay, so then we can keep stitching. So that should sit in the middle. And then we're going to go through from the bottom to the top and then through the hole. From the bottom to the top and then through the loop, sorry, not through the hole, through the loop. Now all your instructions should be on here. So if you've got any questions, you can follow the instructions step by step. Hopefully it's quite self-explanatory, shows all the different places of where you can get to. So I normally, when I'm not hand sewing hearts, I normally run sewing classes for children. And from my home, I used to be a teacher, as I mentioned before, but now I've got 3 children of my own. I've got a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I found it's just so much easier being able to work from home. So Saturdays, before lockdown, but trickier now, but Saturdays I would have 6 children, 6 often girls or boys come round to my house and I run sewing classes with sewing machines and they make all sorts of things. So it's really fun actually. It feels like it's great passing on something, a skill to the younger generation. Now I've run out of thread. So what I've needed to do is re-thread some more onto my needle. Okay. And I'm going to then tie it and make a new knot into the fabric. Okay, with my heart. And then start again. And I'm going to tie the old one, the old bit of thread, and I'm going to tie it to the new one so I don't have any gaps. That's good. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about some of your sewing stories. Maybe you've made some clothes before. Maybe you had grandparents that used to be really good sewers. I'd love to hear some of the stories about some of the things that you've been involved in, or maybe you've did some sewing when you were at school and you haven't been back to sewing since. So hopefully I'd love to hear some stories when we're on the WhatsApp and Facebook group, hearing about your journey as a sewer or a seamstress, or even about if you've got some things that you'd love some help with or would like to know how to make. I'm more than happy to put some help you with something you're working on or something you'd like to learn how to make. I could put some good ideas about how to make some nice Christmas decorations, or how to make presents for people. There you go. When the children, well, I've got 3 children, as I said, and when my 3 children finish school for the year, they, rather than buying anything for their teachers, they like to make their teacher a present. So sometimes they make things for the teachers to hang on their wall. Sometimes they've made pencil cases for the teacher and they draw a picture of their teacher onto the pencil case or to the bag, and then they sew it up for the teacher. They really enjoy sewing, actually. Now, sometimes you get knots, which is a bit frustrating. So if you do, you just put your needle back inside and give it a bit of a pull, and it seems to undo most of the time. There you go. Now the other stitch you can do, if you didn't want to do a blanket stitch, the blanket stitch keeps this nice pattern, as you can see. The other stitch you can do is you can just go in and out, and in and out, and in and out, and in, and you can go in and out with your needle all the way around the outside, and that will do the same. That will have the same effect. It will still sew your two pieces of fabric together. Now hopefully I've given you a bit more wadding than you need. My idea was that maybe you could make something. You could make a little stuffed animal, or you could make a pin cushion to put any of your sewing needle in. So I've almost come to the end, but I've run out of thread again. So the secret is to chop your end, okay, of your needle, and get some more thread. Now I was laughing the other day thinking I'm only going to be able to sew for as long as I can thread a needle. So I'm going to need to make sure that my eyesight stays well, or I can find someone to thread a needle, because it gets quite tricky. There you go. Someone asked me the other day what was the trickiest thing I've ever had to sew, and I was trying to work it out, and I think probably the hardest thing I had to sew was my prom dress. I was really determined to make my own prom dress when I was at college, and I found my mum passed away when I was little, and she used to sew. I must have been about 7, and she used to sew, and when I was older I found a whole cupboard full of the most amazing fabric, and in the cupboard was about 6 or 7 meters of pink satin, like a deep pink satin. And so I really wanted to make my prom gown out of this dress. So, but of course I didn't want anything simple. I had to make it complicated, and I made my dress using 2 different patterns. The front pattern was for a skirt, and the top was different as well, so it was very confusing. So I didn't get much studying done, but I had lots of fun making my dress, and I felt lovely wearing it, knowing that I had made it. But I would never attempt my own wedding dress or anything quite like that, but the prom dress was fun. Okay, make sure when you get to the bottom that you go up and over the curve, and then we're going to stop when we have a gap about this big, and that's where we're going to put the stuffing in. We're now got a gap of about so big. Okay, you're going to take your wadding from your packet, and like I said, hopefully use a bit more that you can use it for something else. So you're going to push it all. The other thing that's really fun that you can make with stuffing and a needle is a sock toy. So it's one of the things I make with the children who come to my class. We make sock monkeys or sock sloths, and if you have a look on the computer online, all you need is a sock and some wadding and a needle and a thread, and they're very cute. They're cute little soft toys. Maybe I'll pop a link to something when I jump on the Facebook page. Okay, so we're going to sew your hole up now that it's full of wadding. Carry on all the way along, and then we're going to tie a knot. Hopefully your hands aren't too sore from hand sewing. But remember, you don't all have to do it in one night. You can do a bit one night, a bit another day, a bit another day. Okay, so finish up all the way around the bottom, down the side, and then you can tie a knot. So you've all got different colours, and you've all got different bits and pieces in your packs. And so hopefully you like the colours that you've got. Okay, so I'm at the end now. I'm going to put my needle through the last bit of fabric, then I'm going to do it again and go through, and hopefully that should tie a little knot. So I go through again and then put it through the loop, and that will tie a knot. Okay, now the bit left over, or you can thread some more, we're going to tie a knot in the end. Okay, now I'm going to go right the way through the pom-pom, right through the other side. Okay, then I'm going to go, here's my tassel, I'm going to go through the tassel, okay, and then back through the pom-pom. Okay, and then pull it tight. Okay, and hopefully your pom-pom should be sticking out the bottom with 2 bits of thread. Then I take this at the end of your heart, put my needle through, and get it nice and tight a couple of times through the bottom of the heart. Now with the other side of the thread, so you've got 2 bits, one from the other side, you can now tie a knot. Make sure it hangs off the bottom. There you go. So you've got your heart with your pom-pom hanging off the bottom. Okay. If you want to do a couple more stitches in the end, just to make sure it's not going to come off, that might be a good idea. And tie another knot. There you go. Okay, now with a pair of scissors, trim the leftovers. Make sure you put the needle somewhere safe. Don't leave the needle lying around just in case it falls on the floor or someone picks it up. So you've got to be careful. Okay, so there's your hope heart. Hope to remember that although things are hard and challenging now, they won't be like this forever. Okay, and there's your other heart that I made earlier. We can make them as earrings. Okay, well, I hopefully look forward to meeting you all on the Facebook and WhatsApp group. And yeah, send me some stories. I'd love to hear some stories, or show me some of the things that you've made. Particularly the hearts, but also other things you've made. I'd love to have a look. I'm always up for learning new skills and for learning new things to make. So I love ideas too. Okay, look forward to meeting you. Bye.